a decade.
Like Jimmy Little, Archie Roach and Troy Cassadaly have achieved mainstream success. But for most Indigenous singers and songwriters, recognition is limited to their own communities. Now, Buried Country, a trilogy of film, book and CD, aims to put the Aboriginal country music tradition into its rightful place on our cultural map. Annie White reports.
Just the shadow of a boomerang made by my father's hand.
Jimmy Little, the original Aboriginal pop star, has experienced something of a revival in recent years.
What a pleasure it is to welcome back to Bandstand Jimmy Little. This is his new one for festival.
Probably the most successful Indigenous singer of the 1960s, Jimmy's particular style broke into the lounge rooms of white Australia.
Unto glory, oh what joy divine, I can feel the current moving on the line.
Look, you know, you love Jimmy Little, everybody loves Jimmy, he's just the tip of the iceberg.
To my way of thinking, it's an extension of our oral culture, you know. I mean, for thousands of years we transmitted our culture through the oral tradition.
Black men tell me all his stories.
The history of Aboriginal country music has now been documented in a film, book and CD.
A lot of these characters, it was amazing to meet these people, to go around, and I sort of, in some ways, felt sometimes like those musicologists in the 1950s who go to the deep south and find bluesmen still alive. And in some ways, it's a bit like that. I'm not sort of saying that we've come along and finally given this recognition that these people can now sort of, you know, receive their recognition. But I would hate to fear that they might have been forgotten.
According to musician Kev Carmody, who narrates the film, country music appeals because all you need is a guitar and a good story.
We tend to talk about real things. Life, death, joy, sadness, stories. Whereas if you look at the mainstream music, it's totally, you know, fantasy stuff. They just want 3.5-minute grabs between advertising.
My brown skin baby, they take him away.
Bob Randall was telling his own story when he wrote Brown Skin Baby in the early 1960s. Taken from his mother as an infant, he grew up on a mission on Croker Island, where he learned to play music.
It was powerful amongst us, and I think that was important. It strengthened us to our togetherness and our feeling good with being together and sharing each other's songs. You know, that's where the value was. It's sort of, the mateship was there.
She's trying to darken its skin so that the baby will not be taken away from her.
Between her sobs I heard her say, police been taking my baby away.
His song Brown Skin Baby is just an incredibly moving account of that experience of, you know, being a stolen child and then, you know, looking for his mother and not finding her, which was Bob's story, that he never did find his mother again.
It helped me get through the bitterness and the anger and the hopelessness of our situation. You just sing it away. It doesn't really go away, but it makes you feel good after singing it.
I can hear the ripple of a mountain stream, see the sunset.
Other Indigenous country artists like Roger Knox faced adversity later on in life. When Roger was just starting to get ahead in the music business, he was in a plane crash and almost burnt to death.
I spent a lot of time in bed. I couldn't do anything, but I could sing a song.
This lonely heart.
And he kept singing and eventually began to play guitar again, starting a band with his sons.
And how I miss you, heaven knows.
While Aboriginal country singers have been well known in their own communities, widespread acclaim has generally remained elusive.
I did a song that was written by Dennis Conlon called Our Reserves. Talks about the struggles on the mission. talks about land, but we couldn't get it played on radio because they'd tell me it was a bit controversial.
Ignored is not a bad word. It's a soft word, but yeah, there's a whole subtle sort of censorship within the whole music industry. They just do not want to hear what we're talking about. It's too honest.
Then the white man with his gun and education, the land they did collect.
While Aboriginal artists are still fighting for recognition in the wider community, storytelling through music goes on at the grassroots in the communities.
I've just been through, you know, Glagabone, Canamble, you know, Walgett, Bawarrina and Burke, and every one of those communities have got music happening on them, you know, around the kitchen table, around the campfire, around the flame and the lounge room. It's just there. Everybody's singing a song.
And now I can walk with my head held high.
As they say, we live and learn. Annie White with that report, and that's the program for tonight. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow, but for now, good night.